person. Welcome to the house. I'm waiting for the claps, but I got no. Thank you. Okay, a couple of reminders. Before we get started, all you public there, please fill out a public comment card if you want to speak. Also turn your cell phones off or on vibrate, or you'll be in charge of dessert tonight because Commissioner McDowell was in charge of dinner. Thank you, Commissioner McDowell. With that, I think we would like to stand and again, let's reiterate the moment of silence for our road and drainage loss of our employee, her with her, about her family and about the family that she worked with, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so there is no public comment. Oh, we're in favor of the agenda, Commissioner. Second. It's been moved by Commissioner Haynes, so please put it written. Yeah, second. Okay. Commissioner, wait a second. I'm sorry. That's the difference between speaking and action. You spoke back with action. Okay, Commissioner Hanks moved, Commissioner McDowell seconded. I think it's so back to the no, she's going to override it. What do you got? Commissioner McDowell moving? No, I'm good. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, let's go and vote. That's unanimous. Awesome. We need a motion for the consent agenda. I would like to proceed, please. You have one to pull too? That's the one I was going to pull. Okay, go ahead. Make a motion to approve A and B. Second. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Let's vote.
I'm sorry, A and B?
Yes.
Where's the Commissioner?
It's unanimous. Okay, C. Questions?
No, I don't have a question. I'd like to make a statement.
Okay.
Make a motion if you need.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Maybe I should explain. I'll hold it first.
Yeah.
In light of our conversation during budget talks where we pulled the sidewalk from Tropicana from Van Camp to Toledo Blade, and we learned of the intense need to have the roadway done first. That's why I pulled this, because this was for designing of the sidewalk. And since we pulled that and want to do the road, I would assume we don't need to take any action, and then this would go away, correct?
Well, should we have staff? Why is this still on the?
Because this was already.
Should have been pulled at the last minute though. But go ahead, staff.
For the record, Juliana Blue, Public Works Director. It was advertised to be placed on the agenda, so we kept it on. And that's why we did that for the Commission's discussion.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, because this commission gave direction already with this project and we got this far, I think, and we were in a workshop and we talked about the budget. I think it's appropriate if we make a motion to postpone this project for now. You know, just so that it's on record that we're at a meeting and we're giving that clear direction to do that. And here comes Shaw.
Do I need to also then state that we're using the monies allocated for road?
We did talk to our finance director first.
Commissioners, I'd just like to make one note. We believe that it is in the best interest in the city to move forward with the design of this project. It's going to take at least 1 year to complete, and by the time the roadway work will be done, we can move forward with the construction in FY 2020. If we delay the design, then the clock, it will start all over again, and construction would not begin before 2021. And I have Char here just to speak to some of the efforts we've made so far and why we think it's in the best interest.
Charlie Lowry, Finance Department. Yes, first of all, it's on the agenda because we actually need an official record of what the commission's decision is before we reach out to this potential vendor to provide this service. Also in conjunction with what the Assistant City Manager mentioned, it was stated in the workshop that we should pull this project. It was pretty blanket like that, so it begs the question, is it the funding for 19 or is it the entire thing? Pardon me. So we had hoped also to get some direction in this meeting. The other thing, as the Assistant City Manager has said, definitely a lot of staff time goes into getting one of these RFPs out, and it takes quite a while. One of the questions that did come up during the negotiation, this particular vendor brought it up and said, are you going to have the roadway fixed prior to us doing this pathway? Their thoughts were we would maybe be messing ourselves up by actually doing things twice. So with that said, though, as the City Manager said, it takes at least a year for this design to happen. And speaking, and Director Belia can attest to this, I talked to her, they believe that they can have the Tropicare Road reconstruction, I guess is what we're calling it, completed in 18 to 24 months. This would put us at a good point then for starting this project sometime in 2020, where we could appropriate funding based upon a 2020 construction timeline, and the design would be completely done. It also, as well as starting the clock over again, it could also mean higher costs, because as we know, costs continue to go up for these things. It's absolutely your decision, but we still needed to bring this to you for a decision as to whether or not it's pulled, and so that we can talk to the potential vendor on it.
And I think in the workshop, we didn't pull it, we postponed it. We pushed it out and took that funding to get the road done. But what you're saying is money's already been spent on this, the design, or it's already allocated?
No. What I'm saying is this RFP allows for us to proceed with getting that pathway designed. And yes, you did say move it out. And so does that mean what we have appropriated in fiscal year 18 or just what we have scheduled for fiscal year 19? So this kind of helps us get the clarification.
Can I clarify, so there is money in this year's budget to do this?
To start, yes, we already have, we're at this point to where we can finalize the procurement and award. Which means that we will not be affecting the 18-19 budget. It will not. It will not.
Just to make it clear.
I mean, only in the sense that it will roll forward, but it does not affect the adopted budget, let me put it that way.
It's not going to affect that shifting in monies that we talked about in our budget workshops as far as the road versus the sidewalk. This is merely the design.
This is only the design. The only way it would affect it is if you say, no, let's push the entire thing out, the design and the construction, then that's what we would do. We would unfund this project and move it out to 2020, I think is what we were kind of looking at, I think, in the workshops, but somewhere in that area.
My light's on.
Everybody's lights on. Assistant City Manager, are you there? Okay, Commissioner Luke's first.
I was asking questions, but...
Well, your light is second, so...
But mine's been on since the beginning.
When you jump the gun. Go ahead, Commissioner.
I spoke with Finance in regards to this, and I'm in total agreement with what the Assistant City Manager of Finance has spoken. I would like to see this continue this year. It then can go into the timeline that they were speaking of. I personally feel as though, as I did in the budget meetings, that some of that lump sum that we were going to potentially, we were talking about giving for River Road be used for Price Boulevard. I think there's a way that we can have our cake and eat it too, with the county and with the city. So I'm in agreement with C being taken care of in this budget year where it's slated.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
When we were going through the budget workshop, we actually had gotten to a point where there was very limited funds available. And I think that's what the conversation was, is that we would rather, I mean, the road is critical for that to get done, so the only place to basically shift monies was to take the construction work from this project and put it towards that. So if we go ahead with this design, and it's going to take about a year, are we going to have the funding available in order to get this done to coincide with the road work as was being described? I just don't know what that situation looks like. Is that funding available? Because certainly you don't want to design something and then 5 years later now have to redesign it.
But if you're designing it while you're doing the design of the road, that's kind of the whole point. It could sit there on a shelf for years because you already did the road design, you know what I mean?
I just want to make sure we have the money to do the road, and the money's a year out from now through the surtax or wherever it was coming from, to actually do this, whatever the design is, in conjunction with the finalization of the road construction.
You know, I don't have the crystal ball to say for sure, but surtax is what is being used to do this. So I would estimate that because our surtax funding continues to increase every year, and we go by what the state provides to us as an estimate, we typically get more. And that kind of addresses the issue with the budget amendment coming up. But I would say yes, and especially if Commission wanted to reprioritize certain things, because, this was one of the high priorities. And so you reprioritize that, let's get the roadway taken care of, which obviously is a greater need at this point. And I would say yes, that we would have the surtax funding for this. Obviously, I couldn't swear on a Bible that we would, but I would estimate that yes, we would have the surtax funding for it.
Okay. And to approve this, do we need to state that it's just for the design now?
You would only be awarding this particular contract, awarding this, yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner McDowell.
I'm just going to mention that typically these designs, when they're done, are usually pretty good for about 2 years. And if there's anything that has to happen to be tweaked, then that is less of a charge. The thing about this road reconstruction on Tropicana is there's going to be some swales and probably some drainage, I think we talked about, Julie, that is going to have to be addressed, which would definitely impact this pathway, in the future. So we definitely want to have that roadway done first.
If I can also add, to William Bailey, Public Works Director, the SwiftMud permit for the path would be good for 5 years. So that gives us some time with respect to that as well.
Anything else? So the road construction, we decided that the budget was paramount compared to the sidewalk. Yes, and you answered a couple of my questions about the design would be good for 2 years, and SwiftMud is good for 5 years?
Yes, ma'am, 5 years from the time the permit's issued.
Okay, I know in the CFU, and I'm sorry, I didn't bring a copy of that one. The 443 was in prior years, if I'm remembering,
It was for fiscal year 18.
Fiscal year 18?
Yes, ma'am.
So fiscal year 17, 18?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much is in for, it was classified as the sidewalks for construction for 18, 19, how much was in that?
I think it was something like 2.9
Yes.
million, I think.
For the sidewalk?
2.955 for construction of the pathway area.
And we took all of that and turned it into the road?
Exactly.
Okay.
3.5? 3.5.
No, just the construction piece.
Just the construction, yeah.
All right. Thank you for those questions, answers.
Sorry. So I have the CIP from the budget item on the next meeting, and looking in there for this project, it's $3.4 million. Right. And when I look at what's projected out for the surtax funding, it looks like we don't have funding available for this 2.5, whatever we're taking away from it, until fiscal year 2021. Because there's only $1 million left in the balance for 1920, based on projection. So it looks like we might come up short, because I know we came out about $700,000 ahead this year, but there's no guarantee that's gonna happen. So I'm just wondering is that 2021 going to be the time frame that this all comes together?
Yes.
Okay.
But let me state this, and I'm sure we talked about this in our workshops, but we have not received our state revenue estimates. The state revenue estimate that we received for surtax was almost $2 million more than what we estimated in our CIP. So we will be adding the
Backup material says it was $700,000 more.
No, we're talking about for 19 now. I'm talking about 19. I'm sorry, I thought that's what you were talking about was 19. I'm sorry, am I talking about the wrong one?
No, it's just you were talking about our projections or whatever, so they're projecting out beyond.
They gave us as their estimated revenues for 2019 for the city of Mansfield. In sales tax. It's 11 million, I think it's like 11,050,000. And I don't remember what's on our CIP sheet right now, but I think it was 9 million.
It's 11.4.
And the revenue itself? I thought we had 9 million in there for revenue.
Okay, which year you were talking about?
18,
You should.
or is it 19, 20?
17-18 is 9.7 million.
And what is 18-19?
18-19 is 10.5, 19-20 is 11.4.
Okay, are you looking at the 2018 budget, or are you looking at the one that has been proposed for 2019?
One that's on the...
Oh, you're looking at the budget amendment. Okay, well, yeah, those numbers, you know, they're projections that we make. They're not hard and fast, so, you know.
Okay, so the bottom line is that there's more monies projected to be available, which should put us in a good place if we go ahead with this design,
Yes,
that it's still good and usable by the time we have the funding available to do it.
yes.
Thank you.
I need a mayor vote, please.
Yeah, this is bad.
So, surtax money is what this $443,000 is for, correct?
We are using $443,000 of surtax money for this design.
Okay, so if we don't use this $443,000, that means we have a surplus if we don't use this for this project.
If we don't use it, we would, you know, at the end of the year, we would just take it out of the project.
Can you use surtax money to do master plans?
I believe so, if you're talking about the master plan that we were talking about earlier,
Yes, ma'am.
we can.
So,
From what I understand, because it's a design, it's a
Just
when you say a design, it's a...
$5 million that we plan on spending on gear.
Well, there are other projects, there are other resources that we can bring to you, and so, yeah, this could be one of them. I don't know that that would be the best use of this resource. That is your determination, but, of course, we can bring you options.
Thank you for that.
Okay.
When we asked for this, in all the years that, it's not a question for me, sure, you can sit down, poor thing. This is sorry, this is a Julie question. In the past, we've done projects where we've piecemealed those projects. We had done, say, the sidewalks first, and then the design of the road first, or vice versa.
Yes, ma'am.
And when we do those design phases in separate parcels, essentially, do they not wind up causing more problems and costing more in the long run?
Yes, ma'am.
So, is it fair to say that if we were to go and do this, so that it falls right into that 2020 timeframe, not only are we going to prevent it from lagging a year behind, but we will also save ourselves the financial implications of not designing the two things at the same time?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Thank you.
We're designing the road, we're reconstructing it, right?
Correct.
I'm not sure if I'm following what you just said.
When you reconstruct the road, won't the reconstruction have to take into consideration a walking path and vice versa? Right?
It's exactly what the consultant asked about. If we're going to, improve that roadway, you want to be careful you don't interfere with the construction of the path.
Right.
It's the same idea, kind of like maybe the SWIFMA permitting and things like that. And we're going to need to look at the drainage because we've got some drainage issues. So it may be that we possibly can take advantage and get one permit. You know what I mean? Or at least work in concert together on it. So there are definitely advantages.
Like for the Hornbuckle flood area, and this would be nice. I think the city engineer has something to chime in on.
Jerry Traverso, Engineering Division Manager. For the reconstruction of the traffic area, we will stay between Echopaman to Echopaman, and we will planning on doing full depth reclamation. So the area of the trail is going to be closer to the right-of-way. It will be on the other side of the ditch. What the consultant said that it might affect is like if we can coordinate this, because if we build a brand new road and then we have a contractor coming in and out, bringing material and equipment to build that path, it might affect certain areas. We don't expect the contractor of the trail to be running along traffic area all the time. But if we can get the design of the trail and we get everything prepared for the road, we might be able to, I don't know, maybe one contractor can bid on both projects and it will bring costs down. Also, in the original cost estimate for the trail, there was a lot of drainage included. If we can take that and get it under this contract, we can speed up the process of the construction of the trail, and it will cost less because the consultant will have to do less
And
work.
not only that, you would address the drainage issues earlier, so it would eliminate the reoccurring problem of the road falling apart.
The other thing we want to try to take advantage of is mobilization costs. If we could do a lot of these things as one rather than twice, because that's where we have heavy costs, is mobilization.
And MOT.
And MOT.
Separate, if we can do it all together in one, that can result in savings.
Okay. So,
Somebody's got their motion button on.
oh, who's got the motion button?
I heard it.
Okay. Go ahead.
So move to approve agreement 2018-19. Second.
All right, so it's been moved by Commissioner Roop, seconded by Vice Mayor. Let's vote. Sorry, City Clerk, I'm going to do that quickly before Vice Mayor wanted to speak again. Okay.
I need to, thank you.
All right, and that's unanimous. Thank you all. No public comment, no commission communications, we're adjourned. Moving on to solid waste.
Okay, 1 minute.
Okay, we'll have a moment.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Today's Tuesday, July 24th, 28th. Just kidding. There's just a warm up.
Yes, we
Just warming it up. Warming it up. We're good. We're good now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, one more time. Today is July 24th, Tuesday, 2018. It is 5:55. We're in the city chambers and I call the solid waste district governing body later meeting to order. Vice President Arnold, Commissioner Luke, Vice Mayor Yates, Mayor Carousel, Commissioner McDowell, Commissioner Hanks, City Manager, Assistant City Manager Bronco. Thank you, I bet you I can do that. Okay, so Attorney Staton, City Atkins, and Police Chief Garrison, members of my voice, thank you. And just a couple of reminders, please make sure you put your phones on vibrate or silence or you will be buying dessert. And if you have any public requests to speak, and card, I think everybody's been here before, you all know where those cards are. And with that, we've already done the pledge, so let's just move on to approval of the agenda. So move now? Okay, everybody push your buttons.
I don't have the button.
Oh, because we have to rejoin.
I did.
I did.
Push.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so it's been moved by Commissioner McDowell, right? Seconded by Commissioner Hanks. Go ahead and vote. And that's unanimous. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on to the consent agenda.
No public comment, just so you know.
Nope.
You ready for a motion?
Yes.
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
All right.
I don't have a motion.
It's stuck.
Moved by Commissioner Luke, seconded by Commissioner Hanks.
Luke and Commissioner Hanks.
Yes.
Second.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
And then vote.
Thank you, Frank.
All right, and that is unanimous. There's no public comment, no communication, no legal reports, we're adjourned. All right, now,
Are we moving on to the regular?
now we are going to take